Hello everyone, my name is Louis and welcome to my channel Watches&Wealth, where I review watches, make watch-orientated videos, and talk about wealth here and there. In this video, I'll be showing off two watches on completely different ends of the spectrum, with a massive price disparity between them. The aim of this video is to give clarity over the gap that separates common cheaper watches with well-known luxury watches, in terms of functionality, quality, branding and exclusivity, and lastly, my general opinion on the market sentiment. I've had friends who are especially uninformed to watches and everything operating behind the mask.
Why on earth would you pay $15,000 for a wristwatch that tells the same time as a $50 watch?
While this is a logical question from a simply functional standpoint, the two tell the time at the same rate, yes. But there is more to it than that, and I'll be breaking it down in categories in this video. On the left we have a Jag 2 J858. I paid $50 for this at a common jewelry store, and this watch will serve as the cheaper example for the video. This watch has a Japanese movement with a dual time, popular with travelers to operate two different time zones. It also displays a date window, which is a bit of a headache to set up because you have to manually cycle the hours with the crown until the next day for the date function to go up once. The case back easily pops off, no tools required. Most affordable watches won't need a tool to open the case back. Once open, the movement is exposed and ticking. Also on more affordable watches, the power source is a removable lithium battery. These usually run out after 1 or 2 years and you'll need to buy a replacement for about $5. While this Jag watch is tailored to more dressmakers, this watch is actually an impressive 50 meters water resistant. The case back would need to be pushed in and crown secure also to avoid leaks. This watch also operates a standard tick by tick second movement. On the right we have a Rolex Datejust 41mm reference 126300. I paid 13,100 Australian dollars back in November of 2020 and its current valuation on the secondary market is 15,200. This watch will serve as the expensive example and represent the types of watches you can get for this price range. This watch has a 3235 automatic movement. This watch follows precise time movement with a swooshing second hand. This watch also displays a date window like the Jag. However, with its Cyclops, the date function is magnified to be precise and clear. The date and time can be set separately by manually pulling the crown out and setting it to your desired time and date. Or if you're a daily wearer of such watches, the time and date will tick over automatically, like the moon and sunrise. The case back doesn't pop off unless you use unconventional methods, which I wouldn't advise, or take it to a service center / watchmaker, where they'll use proper tooling and technique to take the case back off your Rolex. But you won't usually need to take your Rolex case back off because this watch has a 70-hour power reserve, and as you can move your wrist throughout the day, the perpetual rotor transfers energy to the watch, so you don't need to replace anything, providing a consistent and stable power source. Lastly, for the functionality phase, this watch is equivalent to 10 ATM, which is 100 meters water resistant, so twice the drag. Now on to the watch quality. The Jag case is fully made of stainless steel. It seems polishing was evident on the lugs. However, wear and tear over time of the watch's use has brought it to a scratchy surface. The quality of cheaper watches is obviously less than more expensive variants, and this is applicable to the longevity at which the watch survives to in pristine condition. This watch comes with a standard leather strap, which is pretty nice. It has a hook and loop closure system. Put it on your desired hole to adjust the tightness of the wrist. The window is a standard watch crystal and it's flushly pushed into the case. It doesn't protrude out any further than the case. The crown head is polished and the dial is a standard black wave engraved dial. The tickers on this watch are made from stainless steel too. While this watch is massively manufactured and it does feel a bit cheap and light, it's overall, it does the job well. The functionalities perform right, and while the quality suffers, that's all you really need for a $50 watch. The Rolex case is made of 904L oyster steel, a steel alloy specific to the brand. It's particularly resistant to corrosion and acquires exceptional sheen when polished. For the bracelet, we have a robust oyster bracelet with polished oyster links and lugs. You can take and install links to fit your wrist as you please. I've taken out 2 links for this watch to fit my wrist from initial purchase. This Rolex's locking system is an oyster steel fold clasp for ease of use, and it also won't disengage until you pull up that folding clasp. The window is made with sapphire crystal, which is strong and heavily scratch resistant. It has a Cyclops lens, of course, magnifying the date window. The window gives a nice bubble effect as it protrudes out further than the case. The dial is rhodium in colour and it's made of brass. The tickers/hands of this watch are actually made of 18 karat white gold, which not a lot of people know about. This watch is exclusively prestige, and all Rolexes leave the manufacturer without fault. The craftsmanship and quality is evident in the comparison, and even more evident in person. This watch was created to withstand decades of time with minimal deterioration. The quality and heftiness of this watch blows the Jag out of the water. Now for the next section, we go on to exclusivity and branding. Jag as a watch brand is alright, and a lot of these affordable watch brands are. They make affordable, long-lasting watches. And I've had a few compliments on this watch when I wear it out, but when the inevitable question is laid out, what is it? Only watch enthusiasts or owners of these smaller brands will know what it is. And that's okay for some people that buy the watch for purely functional reasons. Just don't expect great quality or exclusivity from these watches that most people can afford. The more you pay for a watch from reputable brands, the more recognition and respect you get from whatever watch you're rocking. Evidently, Rolex is a reputable and recognizable brand at the top of the food chain. Starting in 1905, people recognize a Rolex on the wrist from a mile away. And if that's a factor you might enjoy, it's an aspect of the price too. An aspect of the retention and attention to that watch. Most people can't afford a Rolex. And if you have something they don't, more people's eyes are going to gravitate to something that they can't afford, as opposed to something they see on everyday wrists. This brings exclusivity into the list. If you want a functional entry-level wrist watch with passable quality, go for the Jag and or other watches in the $50 price range. If you want a pinpoint, no-fault, graded, recognizable stallion of a watch with appreciation pulse abilities, go for the Rolex, or buy both, just know the difference. The last point I'd like to make before closing this video off is a majority of these cheaper watches have resale value, but you're not going to get more than what you paid for it, especially if it's beat up and used how it should be. On the other hand, on the more expensive side of things, reputable watch brands such as Rolex and Omega often appreciate in value more than what the watch is worth. So that needs to be factored into the price disparity as well. I'd like to close it off now by saying thanks for everyone that tuned in, that liked, commented and subscribed. I appreciate it very much. And I'll be improving my content and making it better per video release. Thank you for watching.